Hey guys, you're listening to Unedited Sessions, where we take a breath, slow down, and talk honestly about faith, life, and the spaces in between. I'm Caleb Breedlove, and around here, we share walks, wrestlings, and moments that don't always make it to the highlight reel. No scripts, no spin, just real people learning to follow Jesus through the beauty and the tension of everyday life. Welcome to the conversation. And earlier, just to catch him up, I was just talking, she asked, like, how do you actually build this community that we're looking for, that this generation is looking for, and how do we build our community? And I was saying how romanticized the idea is, like it's very romantic, but it's not. There's no like completion. There's no, we're unified and it's all good and now it's about maintaining. Yeah. There's no process. I don't think there's any community out there that's healthy that is complete. I think that's just sort of over romanticized idea. And so I was sharing how I was listening to two streams of thought. One stream of thought said, hey, you need to have a vision, you need to have a mission, you need to clarify, you need to bring people around the mission and vision, and then from there, then you go to, this is like really unedited, but it's like then you give tasks, and that's what the church generally does. Like we have a mission, vision, clarity, and then we bring people around the mission and vision, and then we give them tasks so that they feel needed and like wanted, and what that has created is that people now have relationship through their vocation, right? And that's a really big thing. Yeah. But then you've got like my other mentor, his name's Roger. We were having lunch and I was telling him about how nothing's going right and I don't like how it's happening and I just feel like this is not what we're doing. We're sitting in this little Mexican restaurant, and he took out a napkin and he wrote vision. He said vision, tasks, relationships. So he just put it in arrows. So he says vision to tasks, from tasks to relationship. And then he goes, this is what you're doing right now. You're trying to get people, you're trying to communicate this vision, you're trying to get people to do tasks, and as they're doing the task, then you develop relationship with them. And he says, this is how you ought to do it. This is because you're building structure, but you're not building culture. And he says, this is how you create culture. You start with relationships. And then you give people and you impart and you share your values. And then from sharing your values, then your vision comes about. Then people will volunteer for tasks out of relationship. And he called it relational authority when it comes to like leading a community. And it kind of followed something. It was an answer for me because I was, complaining about it with the Lord before I had that conversation with him. And the Lord was just like, you've got to do this in family. And I really didn't know what that meant because I know what my family looks like. I don't know what their family looks like. I don't know what family means to people. And there's a lot of brokenness. And so we set on kind of our hearts. We were like, okay, we're making this mission about relationship first. And we started saying everything that we do has to come out of relationship. Everything that we do has to come out of relational equity. I actually don't want you to pick up a broom until I know who you are. I don't want you to sweep. I don't want you to volunteer. I kind of just want to get to know you. And that's literally what we did. And we would have people want to join the prayer room, and we were just like, yeah, come on, let's keep coming to prayer. Come and pray with us. And it was always, the language was now with us. Not for us, with us. And then, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're doing that right now because myself and another woman are over our prayer room. So we're doing about 60 hours of prayer a week. And they're all different teams. So each team is responsible for 3 hours a week. And so like we have all these, like I think it's 18 teams to do about 60 hours. And So we have people that come and experience the prayer room. We do a bigger gathering on Friday nights that a lot of the city comes to, and people get really excited. And then we get a bunch of interest forms, like on the website. Tons of people wanting to be a part of the prayer room. But we've kind of grown into this, because I feel like before, like anybody that can come pray, come pray.
Anyone that was breathing. If you can breathe and say Jesus, you can pray.
You can pray. But now it's more like, okay, we're not actually like, it's not a need to, like, we want to add strength in prayer, but more so we want to know these people. And so we've turned down like the last few people that have come through, the last batch of people, and just like encourage them to be around more, like come to our gathering. Because some of the people, we're like, we know these people. Yes, please come into the prayer room, come pray with us. But for people we don't know, it's like, we don't actually know you yet. Like, come be with us, come pray with us. We want to see your face, know you, know that. And know that too, if you join the prayer room, you're not going to leave in a few weeks and never come back like that. And
that happened.
Because it would happen. We'd have people sign up, and we make it clear, like, we want like a 1 year, 6 month to 1 year commitment, and then people disappear after a month or two, and it's like.
So I think the modern Christian is very much focused on this hierarchical way of growing inside the church, and therefore, like, the podium is always like the final place you can sort of achieve. I think it's really good what you're doing is saying we're not achieving anything, we're building community. I think that's one of the things that we really need to like rewire in our minds, because of the hierarchical like triangular structure in which you can grow to, sort of builds a lot of resentment when you're not seen, you're not promoted in that way when you're looking for it. And so I think it's really good that you're asking for commitment without the promise of a promotion.
Exactly.
Really good.
And the idea is the hierarchical. Am I saying that right?
I think it's hierarchical.
Hierarchical.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. So, when you develop community looking towards, and I would say this over and over again, this pulpit is not the end all be all.
Right.
I'm trying to get away from it. I'd rather this. I'd rather us being in a room talking. I come alive when I'm in a room with a few people. Like, even small prayer meetings. Like, I love big prayer meetings. We had one big, long, all-night prayer meeting. There was 100, 200 people in the room. And I was just like, honestly, I'll take the midnight to 3 a.m. set, because I know it's going to be about 20 people in the room. Because people are going to go home.
And they're all people you know.
And it's all people I know. Like, people that really want to be there. Yeah. And I was like, you can get far with 2 or 3, and you can't really get far with 100 or 200. And there was a lot of people that would, you're joining a church, air quotes, and you would go join that church, and then that person's teaching you, and because you are attending that church, the person that's teaching doesn't know you. Unless you have a problem, you don't seek them out. The eldership team, you're like, that's my pastor. And I'm like, but you don't know that guy. And that guy doesn't know you. How can he actually shepherd you if he doesn't know your name, if he can't get in your wool? You know what I mean? He's got to get in your business to be your shepherd. And so there's a thing about attendance does not mean proximity. Meaning, for us, it's like attendance versus proximity is, I don't want you to just attend the prayer meeting. I want you to know the people in the prayer meeting. I want you to join the people. It says, I think it's Isaiah 2 where it says, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go to the house of the Lord together. And I'm just going, that's the glory. That's the glory. That's what we want, is that we are joyful because it's us going to God together. Not that, I'm checking my box off. Right. And so this hierarchical, I don't like it.
Hard word.
Anyways, this top heavy, idea, this top heavy idea is like, no, we're the vision. And that's why I'm like, it's just not that. And a lot of people, I was doing a podcast, and they were like, so what do they call you in the ministry? And I'm like, they call me Caleb. And he's like, they don't call you pastor, they don't call you, And I'm like, nope, exactly. And it's like, no, they don't call me anything. And he says, so what's your title?
Unless it's a joke.
Unless it is a joke. Unless it is a joke.
Like, I'll call him like, what did I introduce you as? Like,
the chief lieutenant.
Chief lieutenant apostle.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Archbishop.
Archprophet.
Yeah. It was just like really weird. But, we say fruit never lies. When a tree is good, it bears good fruit. Yeah. When a tree is bad, it bears bad fruit. It's not good and bad fruit together. And so it's like, a tree by its fruit. And so if I am whatever gift I am to the body, not that I don't know, not that I'm ashamed of it, but it's this whole idea of I'm actually here to serve you. I'm not actually here to be over you in the sense of like top heavy and like the pursuit. Like you're pursuing to be like me. You're actually not pursuing to be like me. We're all pursuing to be like Christ. And I'm just trying to keep us focused on that, So that's why, I get into that. So we've got to break that down to something that's so flat that Jesus can actually be the head on the throne. Like Jesus can be on the throne. He's the head of the body. We're just his body, and we're different parts. And it's all about getting all the parts to work together. But you can't get to work together if you're not connected. If I don't know your giftings and your creativity and your skills, and that's where it comes into belonging. Like I was saying, in organizational leadership, there's 3 needs that every human has: autonomy, competency, and belonging. Autonomy, competency, and belonging. So they say, okay, autonomy. They need to see that they're fulfilling their value and vision in whatever they're putting their hands to do. Competency. They need to see that how they're growing and what they are offering actually is adding value to the community, to what they're connecting and working in. And then belonging. They need to know and they need to be known. They need to know others and they need to be deeply known. And it takes vulnerability, not just transparency. I think people can get down with the authentic, like transparency thing. Yeah. But it takes vulnerability, It takes confrontation. It takes uncomfortable conversations. It takes we have this in the Message Bible in James 3, it talks about wisdom that's from above, and it says, it talks about wisdom from above is first pure and peaceable and open to reason, all this stuff. And then it says, and you do the hard work of getting along in James. Yeah. And it's just like we have that saying, okay, we've got to do the hard work of getting along. A story is like me and Joshua and his wife and my wife were in Brazil, and I got upset about something. I don't even remember what it was that I got upset about.
I think I was overwhelmed and I stayed back from a meeting, and then you were upset with me, and then I was upset with you.
Yeah,
and
it was just a whole bunch of things. Yeah. So it was like, I have a thing with anger. I don't want to do anything out of anger. Yeah. So if I'm angry, I'll stay away from you. I'll hide until I can calm myself down, and then I'll approach you. But my wife, totally the opposite. My wife will go straight into it. Like she will just, hey, and his wife is very much the same way. So they saw it happening.
They could be Dutch.
And it was they saw it happening, and we're both avoiding it. And then all of a sudden, we had to get in the same room, and we had to tell how we offended one another, how we hurt one another, and it was one of the most uncomfortable moments of our relationship. But as soon as we were done, we were all the more closer. Yes. As soon as we were done, it was like, all right, now I understand you more. Yeah. Yeah. And I think those are the moments that build community. It's actually not this plastic, hey, we're just talking, that kind of thing. So I think we've really focused in on relationship, communicating values. This is our value over and over again. values create a group identity, you know, because people are alone and they want to be a part. And like we were talking about, we did a whole strategy meeting, and this is the last thing I'll say because I'm just catching up. But we did a whole strategy meeting about like different demographics needing different things. So you have one demographic between 18 and 30 that wants an experience, and they want to a cause. They're champions. They're like, you know, how you get them involved in community is give them something that they can believe in. You know, something that they can champion, something they can experience. And let's go to Timbuktu and dig wells, you know, that kind of thing. You know, like, we're going, you know, we're doing it. You know, like they will raise money. They will do whatever they need to do. They will move mountains to get this experience or to be behind this cause that they really believe in. The 30 to like 45, 50-ish, they are what we call communers. They're in the throes of family and career, and maybe they're married, maybe they're single, maybe they have kids, maybe they have a career. So, but they're all looking for more connection. So the champions are looking for a cause. The communers are looking for connection. They're looking for something that they can stay connected. Like you're saying, you know, families, they're so exhausted. You know, parents are so exhausted because they're alone. They're just doing a bunch of stuff alone by themselves. Well, you know, how they get a part of community is when they can just be themselves. They don't have to be parents. They don't have to be bosses. They don't have to be managers. They don't have to be whatever. They can just be with other people that get where they are. They're in the stage of life. Generally, they look for stage of life things. They're young, but they're not that young because they have kids. They're married, but they also want to be around their single friends, and their single friends they want to be married, and you know, like it's just a whole thing. So you have to give them the tension of connection there. And then you've got the 50 plus, and they are looking now. They're, you know, more than half of their life is done. You know, life expectancy is around 70, 80, and maybe sooner. So for some people, because of a lot of illness. So a lot of people are, you know, after 50s, they're looking for legacy. They're looking to leave something behind. They're looking to give what they have developed in years of struggle and developing and raising their own family. Maybe their kids are going off to college now, you know, and they're being empty nesters, so they're looking for purpose again. They're in their years where they're looking to pour in. And, so, you know, if you were a mom, you're looking for someone else to mother, you know, because your children are going off and being moms and dads and whatnot. So you're actually looking to share your capacity in family and fathering and mothering and training and leading and investing in the next generation. And so generally what we said is we want to get we call them the captains. So we have the champions, CCC for you know, alliteration sake. We have the captains, or we have the champions, the communers, and the captains. And how do we connect all of these guys? So it's intergenerational, intercultural, you know, multicultural, multi-denominational. Like a huge part, you know, is like, yeah, I know you have had focuses. You know, you go to one denomination and another, and they have focuses. You know, we focus on revival. Pentecostals focus on, you know, things of the spirit and sensationalism. You know, where it's what you feel and how you move and what you say. And you've got those in more liturgical spaces that are. It's about knowing your faith and about remembering and there's prize in all of it. How do you actually connect? You know, older generation, they're thinking about the oldie goldies, you know, where they're like, yeah, I love that song, Turn Your Eyes to Jesus. The 18-year-olds don't know that song.
Yeah, right.
But me too. But there's a value. You get what I'm saying? There's so much value in them passing it on. And it's not that we play a song or we remake it. It's that through relationship, they receive something. most of the songs that I know that are hymns or old songs, it's through relationships that I had with captains, with people that were 50 plus or 60 plus or 70 plus, that I just really connected with their walk with Christ. And I was like, okay, they're like, you know what, go listen to this song and pray. And it was just like, now I've got that song, but it's connected with a memory. And it's connected with, with intimacy with someone. So Jesus wanted his discipleship to happen in community. He wanted us to experience, and he wanted us to, learn to become like him in community. We've been, oh, you're fine. You're so cute. She's just like, let's do this. We're playing here. So yeah, that's my whole spiel. And that's what we've been trying to work out and practice and figure out and learn and add and, restructure and all that stuff.
I love that. I also really love about your story about what unity and community looks like, because we tend to feel like it has to be this place of only happiness and no stress, and that's when we're connected. But all these struggles and the pain and the sacrifices, they all are part of the process. So I get what you say with it's romanticized so much, but there's so much truth to what you're saying.
I think also if you look at monasteries, how they set up community, it's very much task oriented, and then they go through there. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it, but it sort of shows you how much effort goes into actually having a building where people come together and actually stays alive and people get food and all that stuff. And I think a lot of times we underestimate how much work goes into community.
It does.
And like you said, how it's romanticized as this sort of higher plane of existence where it actually is very messy, because you're bringing all your upbringing, your traumas, all that stuff into one space, and you sort of have to figure out how this thing works.
Yes.
So I think it's I feel like you guys have a really good vision for it. But I figure that with that vision comes a lot of struggle as well from people that don't see it that way. Is that something you run into?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah?
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. What you said actually, I feel like we knew we had a strong community and a deep community when we started fighting and bickering and getting offended. And it's you're actually, and same for me, I've actually been vulnerable enough with these people that they can really hurt me. Cause that's a big thing in the States of protecting yourself. Nobody wants to be hurt, but if you're gonna be vulnerable and bear with one another and be in Christ together, you're gonna walk through a lot of hurt and pain and offense and
crap.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's we have this follow your heart and you have to protect yourself at all costs and stuff like that. That really makes us disconnect with what the Bible says even.
It does.
Plus? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah. It's messy because people come from different kinds of families. I mentioned this where I was like, I don't really know what family means to you.
Yeah.
I know what it means for me. And people can bring their, like you said, traumas to community, and they can project that on you.
Yeah.
As a leader in the community, I've dealt with more projections that they will put upon me because of their leaders in the past. And how they were hurt by those leaders, or they didn't really like how that leader did that thing, and they really didn't like this part of leadership, and it was just we're dealing with a lot more of that than actually getting to know me.
Yeah.
So a lot of people really just they take to defining the office before discovering the person. Oh, you're a leader, so you're like this. And then they're surprised when they hurt you, because they also think that leaders are very impervious to hurt. We're impenetrable.
Perfect.
It's just we're perfect and we don't get hurt. And it's just like, no, you hurt my feelings. Like, you just said some really mean things to me. And you thought that I was supposed to just like take it.
Turn the other cheek.
And turn the other cheek. No, I want to fight you. You know, I want to take you out. You know what I mean? And like, and let's just talk about something like just really stupid. I guess like I grew up where if you loved someone, if you respected someone, when you get into a room, the first thing that you did was say, "Hello, good morning," right? They are in the room. If my mom was sitting here in this, and I came down the stairs, I'm the first one to say, "Good morning, how are you doing?" And if she has to turn around, you know, and say, "Good morning," you know, that's showing me that that wasn't respectful.
Oh, it happens all the time. I had to relearn how to like send text messages because in the States, I don't know, we text each other just asking for things, needing things, but then my wife's Brazilian family, if you just, they will get so upset if you don't start with, "Good morning, how are you?"
Hey, how are you doing?
Like,
what's going on with you?
Like actually showing a desire to get in it with them and not just needing things. Like,
people walk in my office all the time. "Hey, or not even hey, can you do da 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 da?" Hello. How are you doing?
But it's also the thing we do to the God as well.
Exactly.
If we have these kind of
exactly. And so my whole thing about leadership in community is that I advocate a lot for, you got to discover me. I got to discover you. I got to get to know you. You've got to discover me. I know you have your traumas and different things like that, and that's where the messiness comes into to play.
Yeah.
And so people have to get to know you. My mom always used to say, you know, communicate to people according to who they are, and then train people to be your friend. Like, you actually have to be close enough for me to tell you how I see respect, how I see honor, how I see love. And if it's weird and it's unbiblical, then we have a responsibility to go to Jesus and get healing and get in alignment with him and to study the scripture and say, how does the gospel apply to this hurt, this wound, this way of seeing things, so that we can be the family that, not that I envision, but he envisions for me. And it's a weird thing where Jesus says, "Lord, I want them to love one another and I want them to be one." He prays this. He says like we're one, I want them to be one. And when the world looks at them and how they love one another, then they'll know that you sent me, you know, and that I am who I say I am. And I'm just like, wow, the world will actually believe in the gospel because of redemptive, new creation, new humanity, community. Like, that's gospel-oriented community. Yeah. And it's just like, and that is going to make us not just it's not unity anymore. It's oneness. It's going to make us one.
It's actually like Jesus' number one desire, which is why he prayed it that way, which is very, his heart by that prayer. So it's
right
to pursue that bit of his heart.
It's like, what does this mean? Right. I want to give you this. Yep. I want to be a part of your vision for this. So Lord, we're always asking, Lord, what is it? Teach us what it means to be one. As you and the Father are one. We pray it all the time. Teach us what it means to be one. Show me what it means to be one. So it helps. It helps. Huh?
So we're not good at it.
We are not good at it. No one is.
No, but
that's why we need the gospel.
Pursuing it though, yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's why we need the gospel.
That's why I need a lot of mercy.
Because it enables us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This coffee was really good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you
so
like another one?
Yeah.
Would you like another one?
I would.
Actually.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
I just we come from a coffee town.
Yeah.
Like
we drink coffee all the time.
We do coffee. Yeah. Everyone does coffee in our city. We have a lot of I don't know, everybody's just like a coffee.
Archer.
except Caleb Archer.
Yeah.
But everyone's like a coffee snob, so like everybody has their specific shop.
Like
that's
Starbucks.
That's the best
sort of thing. Yeah.
No. Like,
No.
we're pretty anti Starbucks. There are
You're
some
really artisanal, like
yes,
yeah,
very
specialty coffee.
Yeah, right.
specialty coffee, latte art. Some people go to shops for the matcha or the tea. Some people like this shop has the best espresso shots.
Yeah.
This one has the
Yeah.
best. Everybody's really and territorial. They're like, no, this is the original. This is him.
Yeah.
This is the original shop of Oklahoma. This is the best coffee.
That's me.
Yeah, that is him. And then,
That's me.
and then some people don't even care about the taste. They're like, I like the way this one looks.
Yeah, right.
This
Yeah.
is the. It's
Ridiculous.
But the coffee we've had in the Netherlands.
Well, in
is
Holland,
so
it's
nice.
very much in Holland we're cheap. That's our staple thing. We're sort of like we're hospitable, but we're very cheap in our ways of doing things. So going to a coffee place to order a coffee is something you do in a city. You don't do that in a village type setting. So we are very much doing that in our own home. So we like to do stuff like cooking and preparing food and also doing coffee. So we have this like Italian. It's called a percolator.
Percolator.
Percolator. So
Yes.
we use that to put. So it's always like a good espresso shot. And then with it's just lavazza beans, ground beans. So it's very simple. But we really like home stuff, like homemade things.
Wow.
In Holland, it's very much. So also like the eating out culture in America. I think it's a lot of eating out. I think
There's quite a bit.
it's my perception of America. I would say.
I feel like our community is different, but I feel like the average American probably eats out every day.
Yeah, right. And
At least.
we never like
A lot.
eating out is like an event in our country. So me and my leaf, we go out once or maybe like once every 2 months, like eat out and have like someone babysit and stuff.
2 months.
Because it's sort of like something you really in Holland. It's very much not a. It's sort of like an event, like going to the movies or.
Okay.
So
It's become a little bit more event oriented for us because we live in a smaller city, so there's not much to do except community.
How large is the amount of people?
What is it?
In Tulsa, it's 400,000. Around
400,000.
We actually like Arnhem is I think 200,000.
Okay.
We have like very small.
Nee, is nog, Arnhem is wel echt heel veel. Ja, quite big.
Like our largest city is Amsterdam, and it's 1 million people, so it's not.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're really small. Like for instance, your driving
like
distances. I've heard
18
these
million
stories of
people in
people
the Netherlands.
visiting their family and driving like 6 or 7 hours.
I told
12.
I was telling Marcel. That was so from my home city to where, and this is the speed limits were slower when I was a child, but to like North Texas, it was like a 12-hour drive.
Right.
Now the speed limit is so fast, it's like you can do it in 8 hours.
So you can cross our
because
country.
people here will say like, oh, well, we don't see the family so much because they live far away and it's like an hour.
Hour and a half.
And people are
Like you can cross our entire country from north to south in 3.5 hours.
I would love if my parents would live an hour to 4, even 4 hours away from me. I'm
That would
like,
be nice.
you don't have to be on top of me. You can just be like right there. You know what I mean?
I love that we're all close.
We live 30 minutes away from my
love that.
parents and about 15 minutes away from her parents. So
I've literally been trying to get my parents to move. We've been in Tulsa. I've been in Tulsa for almost 13 years now. Oh yeah, 13 years. And I've been trying to get them, as long as I've been married, for the 9 years.
Right.
I've been trying to get them to move to Tulsa. They don't like it, and they don't want to. They don't love us enough.
Where do they?